Welcome to Ancient Word Narratives. I am your host, and today we are diving into one of the most powerful teaching methods ever used, the parable. Jesus used parables constantly. In fact, Matthew 13:34 tells us that Jesus spoke to the crowds entirely in parables. But why would the Son of God choose riddles and stories instead of direct commands? The answer reveals something profound about how God transforms human hearts. A parable is not just a nice story. The word parable comes from the Greek word parabole, meaning to place beside or compare. Jesus placed everyday situations next to spiritual truths. The sower scatters seeds, a merchant searches for pearls, a father waits for a wayward son. These were not fairy tales told for entertainment, they were spiritual mirrors. In the first century, Jewish rabbis taught through parables too. It was a respected method of instruction. But Jesus elevated this form to an art form. He knew that stories stick with us. Stories change us. When you hear about a prodigal son, you do not just learn theology, you feel the Father's love. Consider the parable of the two foundations. A wise man builds his house upon the rock. A foolish man builds upon sand. Jesus did not say, you must have a strong spiritual foundation. He showed us the difference. When the storms came, we saw which house remained standing. This is the genius of parables. They demand participation from the listener. You must think. You must apply the story to your own life. A command can be resisted. A parable invites you to discover truth yourself. The parable of the hidden treasure shows a man who finds treasure in a field and sells everything he owns to buy that field. This is not about literal real estate. It is about the kingdom of heaven being worth more than anything we possess. Notice that Jesus left room for people to wrestle with meaning. His disciples often asked him to explain the parables privately. This created deeper spiritual conversation and relationship. Even the resistance to parables serves a purpose. Matthew 13:13 tells us that some people hear but do not understand. Jesus said parables reveal truth to those who seek it and conceal it from those who refuse to listen. The parable respects human free will. It will not force understanding upon unwilling hearts. So, what does this mean for us today? When you read a parable, do not rush past it. Sit with it. Ask yourself, what situation in my life does this reflect? What truth is Jesus showing me? The parable of the talents asks, how am I using what God has given me? The parable of the lost sheep asks, do I value the one who is lost? These ancient stories still speak. The power of parables lies in their timelessness. A seed falls whether it is the 1st century or the 21st century. A shepherd still searches for lost sheep. A father still waits to welcome home his children. These truths transcend time because they reflect how God relates to us. As you go forward, remember this. When Jesus taught in parables, he was not being unclear. He was being deeply intimate. He was inviting you into a story where you discover your own need for redemption, your own capacity for love, your own calling to serve. That is the ancient wisdom of the parable, alive and speaking to your heart today. Thank you for joining me at Ancient Word Narratives. If this message resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share. Next time, we will explore another timeless truth from Scripture. Until then, may you hear the parables not just with your ears, but with your transformed heart.